I didn't become a client of theirs. They had what looked like on paper the perfect solution, but the fact they weren't willing to really listen to me was a red flag. I thought this isn't going to be a great relationship. I can't see how we are going to work together. And so it was an easy no. So what I'm trying to get to is that as introverts, we have a skill set that makes us amazing at sales because our natural tendency is to listen, to reflect, to make connections before making any suggestions. So, this is what a sales conversation is all about. Hello, and welcome to the Art of Value Whispering podcast. I'm your host, Melitta Campbell, business coach, value whisperer, and advocate for introverted female experts who want to grow a business that feels aligned, meaningful, and impactful. Each week on this show, I explore what it really takes to create a quietly impactful business, one that thrives through meaningful marketing, value-driven sales, and self-leadership. So if you're ready to attract more of your dream clients, sell with confidence, and create lasting success on your own terms, you're in the right place. Now, I don't know about you, but as an introvert and someone who has a tendency to be shy, now I know introversion and shyness don't go hand in hand always. In my case, they very much do. But I have very often been told all the things I can't do, all the things I shouldn't even contemplate because I'm quiet, I'm not loud enough. And what I've seen happens over time to myself, and I've seen it with others, is that we start to believe these limits that we're given, that we're told you should never even try to speak on stage, start a podcast, all of these things that we absolutely can do as introverts. We just do it in a slightly different way, and it has to always be meaningful and feel that we're doing something worthwhile. When things feel meaningful, valuable, and aligned, it's much easier for us to take action. So one thing that I don't know if I was told, but I always assumed I'd be no good at is sales. And for a very long time, I avoided sales and I didn't think I did have sales. In my first business, a communication consultancy, I would go and have a chat with people to understand what are they looking for, what their needs, what was the context of the particular project we were having the conversation about. Then I'd go away, I'd put together a proposal and send that off, and 9 times out of 10, I would get the work. And I didn't see that as sales. I just saw that as the process. But now I understand that sales isn't about being a bit of a sale boy, if you get that reference, but a used car salesman, someone who's pushy, got the gift of the gab. That isn't sales at all. And go back and listen to my interview with Lisa McLeod. It was very early on in the podcast. I can't remember which episode exactly, but definitely before we got to 100. And she was talking about how what happens with sales is very often what we perceive as sales and what we experience as sales are two different things. When we experience sales done well, we don't say it was a sales conversation. We don't say we were sold to. We say things like, oh, they had so much time for me. They asked me brilliant questions. They listened to my needs and gave some recommendations and listened to my feedback. So we use all of these words that allude to that conversation being of service, of someone making us feel heard and understood and valued. So very often when sales is done well, we don't call it sales per se. So we don't really make that connection. So that's exactly what I was doing. I was having sales conversations in my first business, but I hadn't really called it sales because it didn't match up to my perception of what sales was. In my kind of middle business, it was a network marketing business. So it was all about selling and selling face to face. And I had to do markets and go to people's houses and have mass conversations with people selling the products. And again, I didn't really think I was any good at sales until I had a sales mentor within that organization, the amazing Phil M. Jones. Check him out. He's got a great book on exactly what to say. And I was lucky enough to work with him every day for 8 months around sales and having sales conversations. And very often it is that taking the time to listen and to show up and to care that makes a real difference. And then having a framework on top of that and an understanding of the kinds of questions to ask and the responses to give that are going to help the other person to come to the right conclusion for them. And here's the other thing that I learned then, which I've seen in context over and over, is that you can't sell to someone without their permission. If someone isn't ready to buy and you try and sell, they're going to dismiss you. If you are trying to convince and cajole someone who just isn't ready, they're not in the right space, they don't see the value yet, they're not going to buy. So you can't make someone buy. So we have to have this conversation to understand them. We have to help them really understand what is the problem they have, what is the way they want to solve that, and to help them get clarity around what it is that they're looking for. So we can then say, well, if this is the results you're looking for, I think I can help you. Would you like me to tell you more? And invite them into that conversation. You can't just say, well, this is your problem, this is the solution, because you're going to get people's backs up. You haven't really brought them into that process. And women especially want to be part of that sales conversation. They want that experience. If you take that experience away from them, then that doesn't feel right to them either. And if you go back to your sales conversations you've had in the past, anytime you've enjoyed or really not enjoyed buying something, look at what that experience was all about. So I had a sales conversation with someone recently where I was trying to buy from them, and I asked them the same 3 questions 3 times, and they didn't listen to what I was asking and never gave me the answers to those questions. So I didn't become a client of theirs. They had what looked like on paper the perfect solution, but the fact they weren't willing to really listen to me was a red flag. I thought, this isn't going to be a great relationship. I can't see how we are going to work together on this particular part of my business. And so it was an easy no. So what I'm trying to get to is that as introverts, we have a skill set that makes us amazing at sales, because our natural tendency is to listen, to reflect, to make connections before making any suggestions. So this is what a sales conversation is all about. It's all about being of service, all about listening, asking poignant questions, and really listening to the answers and what that means in the context of, are we able to serve this person? Is our solution the right answer for them? And to help that other person come away understanding their problem differently and feeling really confident that they've got the right solution if they work with us, or confident that they now know how to solve their problem in a way that's going to feel aligned for them. So the more I do sales, the more I coach my clients through sales, learn about sales, the more conversations we have about sales on this podcast, the more I understand that actually as introverts, we have some real strengths that help us to sell. It's not necessarily about the skills, but knowing what to say, how that conversation will go, so we can create a framework and a process that's going to help us ask the right questions at the right time and guide people to the right solution for them. Once we have that framework overlaid with our natural skills and abilities, plus the ability to communicate our value clearly and have an offer that is relevant for our dream clients, once we have all of these things in place, sales conversations become very, very different. And I've lost track now of the number of clients who dreaded sales. We worked through this process, got their framework in place, worked on exactly what they could say in different situations to extract the right information from their clients and then present their offer in the right way. How at the end of those conversations, they called me up or texted to say, wow, that was just such an incredible experience. I loved my sales conversation. And what I've realized is sales conversations are really this opportunity to serve at an extremely high level, to add a lot of value for our clients. So knowing that a lot of introverts and those who feel shy about talking about their business, and I include extroverts in that bracket as well, anyone who right now isn't enjoying their sales conversation or is perhaps delaying those conversations, putting them off, getting stuck at any part of that conversation, not quite knowing how to run it. I'm going to be running a masterclass on how introverts can sell more on the 27th of May at 3 p.m. Swiss time, that's Central European time, 2 p.m. in the UK, other times in other places. And I would love to invite you to join us at that masterclass. To find the link, just go to melittacampbell.com/sales-masterclass or check out the show notes or go to my LinkedIn page. You'll be able to access that same link and register there. So do come and join us. I'll be diving further into what holds us back from sales, what that tells us about ourselves, and how we can move forward with confidence and sell more, because we do have to sell and be profitable. This is the key. We don't want to sell and give all sorts of bonuses and extras and discounts that erode any profit. It has to be profitable if we're going to be in business for the long term. So we're going to look at how can we do that confidently and in a way that our prospects are really going to thank us for. They are going to find highly valuable as well. So if you have any doubts around the sales process or you want to sell more, then do come along to that masterclass. You are very welcome, of course, to invite your friends and business besties as well. Just go to melittacampbell.com/sales-masterclass and you will find the link and all the details to subscribe there. And as I'm preparing for that masterclass, I would love to hear from you. What are your big sales questions, or what are your big challenges around sales? Or what is that story you're telling yourself in your mind about why you struggle with sales or why it's difficult for you? Come and let me know. You can drop me a DM on LinkedIn. You'll find me there, just at Melitta with 2 T's, and let me know what are your challenges, and I'll be sure to include the answers within that masterclass for you. So I hope this has already helped shift your thinking around sales, that it's not about being pushy, braggy, aggressive, cajoling anyone, convincing anyone to buy. We're just not that good. We can't convince people of things that don't feel aligned or right for them. However, we can guide, coach, and support people to find the right solutions for them. And as introverts, we have so many amazing skills. So I hope you're starting to see sales a little bit differently, and do come along to that masterclass, because that's going to really complete the loop and give you more skills on that front as well. So I look forward to seeing you on the 27th, and I'll be back here next Wednesday with the next episode of the podcast. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.